Hello. Okay, guys, we are live. So let's begin. So, hey everyone, I am Harshal Jain, and today we'll be continuing our task manager application. So, in the last video, we actually built some of the APIs and we actually built the user login and register API, which actually created a user, and in the login part, we returned the token. So, now what else can we do? So, after this, you actually need to create tasks for specific users, and whenever that user is logged in, we will be creating a middleware which will actually check that if the user is logged in or not. If the user is logged in, then you can move further, else you can say the user is not authenticated and you have to log in. Okay, so suppose the user is logged in, then they can create, read, update, delete their own tasks. Okay, so we'll do that today. Right, so let's continue. And before that, I would request all of you to watch all the last videos. And guys, I'm seeing that a lot of people are actually not that much interactive, so I would ask every one of you to give as much comments as you can in the whole series, because I wanted to be spread it all over YouTube. Okay, so please show some support, and all the 15 videos I would be actually available in the playlist, so you can check out the whole playlist. Right, so every code is also uploaded on GitHub. So if you don't know where is the source code, you can actually visit github.com/virajj014. I'll just take you there. So for visiting all the projects, for checking all the projects, and if you're facing any difficulties, you can refer to those projects. So you can simply type github.com. First of all, you all need to have a GitHub account. Okay, so github.com/virajj014. Okay, so this is my profile. You can visit my profile, and in the repositories section, by the way, you can follow me here. So in the repositories section, you would find that Akshay Deshmukh, good. Thanks, Akshay. So here you can see that we have Node 15 GFG. If you don't find this, if you don't find this here, you can simply go here and simply type the name. All right. So anyways, you can simply click here and you would find that we have the whole source code. Okay. So all the different projects which we have created now are actually available here. And the recent one which we created, that is Task Manager Backend, the part one of this video, the whole source code is actually available here. So if you wanna check out this, you can definitely go for it. Alright, so I hope you got this. I'll just share this in the live chat. Anyways, okay, I'll just share it in the live chat. Alright, so yes, now let's continue. Okay, you're saying only two live members. Yeah, Akshay, that's what I'm saying, that you can share this as much as possible so that it's reachable for more people who actually wanted to see live. Okay, later on, I'm not actually more focused on the views, but I actually want it must reach more people so that more series would come in Geeks for Geeks development channel. Okay, that's why we need some support. All right, so let's continue. And one more thing, that is in the description, if you want to purchase the whole merge stack development course, this specific 15 days of backend is for complete Node.js, Express, and MongoDB complete. Okay, no sacrifice. All right, but if you want merge stack, complete merge stack, that is with React.js and all the required stuff for merge stack, you can actually check out the description. We have mentioned two courses. That is a live course, and that second one is a classroom based program. So if you are someone who likes live sessions, can actually go here. There are some recorded sessions as well as some live sessions every week. All right, so you can check out this and you can read more details about this. Okay, you will get it. Now similarly, in the in the bottom, we actually have another one, that is classroom based. Okay, so below that actually, so you would find the classroom based project, I'm sorry, classroom based course here. So everything is available here if you wanna check out the Gurgaon center or Noida center. Yesterday there were actually I was able to see two different Gurgaon centers, so I thought there were two, but actually in Gurgaon we only have one, and in Noida we only have one. Okay, so if you are someone who can come here and try to join the classes, then definitely you can, and you can read out more about this. All right, so now let's continue. So I'll be opening the source code first, then we would be working on it, right? Okay, so what we did yesterday was we actually built this project, and I'll just open it with VS Code. So if you haven't watched the last video, please watch it. Okay, so in the description, okay, in the description also we have mentioned the complete playlist link, so you can get the playlist from there also. All right, so let's open the terminal, and here I would just say right now we don't have to install anything, but before starting we actually need to see that what we have done till now. Okay, so what we did yesterday was we created user routes. Okay, so user route simply had the register API, the login API, right? And this user route was actually being used here. Okay, you can see we are using the user routes here. Okay, so that's what we did yesterday. Similarly, we created task routes. Okay, so task route is what? Task route is again this file. So here you can see right now it didn't had anything, but today our task is to actually perform CRUD operations for authenticated users. Okay, so we actually have to check every time if the user is logged in or not for authenticated, okay, users, right? So if you are authenticated, then you will be able to create, read, update, delete your own task. Okay, not anyone else users task, right? So we'll see that how we can do, how we can provide authentication, so that if in future you're building an application, you won't face any difficulties and you have a complete logic for CRUD operations, right? So now let's continue. And one more thing which we did was we created a model for user, right? So this is a model for user. Can add more details if you want. Similarly, we would be creating a model for task. So task would actually store 2-3 fields, that is the description of task, the task is completed or not, and you can add a few more fields. And the one important field is the who is the owner of this task. That means this specific user, whatever is the user, this user's ID would be stored in that specific task. Okay, so I hope now you are getting this, how we would connect the task with the user. Okay, in the user schema you don't have to do anything, you can just go with this. But for the task we have 3 fields, that is description of the task or title, and then we have completed or not completed. Then we have one more thing, that is the owner of this specific task. That means which user actually created this task, right? So for that we have to create a new model for task, and again in the routes we have to complete this route. And one more thing, that is we need some middlewares. Okay, so actually I would be creating one middleware for authentication, but you can create as many middlewares as you want. But today you will get a perfect use of how you can actually create a middleware and use it anywhere, right? So let's do that. So first of all, I would just go to user routes, right? So I would just go here, and you can see that as a response I was sharing a token, right? So this was the token which I would check every time if this token exists or not. If it exists, then it's expired or not, and things like that. So for that we actually need a middleware. So whenever we are calling any API inside task routes, we would be calling a middleware first, which would check if the user is authenticated. That means the token is valid or not valid. Okay, so we will be doing that. So for that, let's create a folder, and I'm just following a good structure so that in future if you are referring any other project, you might find it similar to those. Okay, because a lot of people actually use this kind of format for creating different kind of folders and different kind of files, then importing at each other. Okay, so here I would just say that we have middlewares. So middleware is what? Again, middleware is something which would be called just before when you hit that API. Okay, in whatever API you would call that middleware, the middleware would be called first, then that API would be called next. Okay, so that's why we would specify next in middleware. So you will see, and I would definitely recommend please watch the last video so that you have a better idea how middleware works. And I have also taught additional things, not just normal login and authentication check. I have taught additional things like refresh token also, so you can watch my previous videos for more better understanding. Since we have time limitations, so I'm not using the refresh token concept, right? But you can apply refresh token concept also. So auth.js, right? So auth.js, here what we need is first of all I would like to import JWT, so JSON Web Token. Okay, I would like to import this because we are going to compare the token which we get from the API call. Then we would actually verify that token. If that token is verified, then we'll move further. Okay, else we would simply say that please authenticate or please log in again, right? Things like that. So here what I would do is I would also do one more thing, that is I would require the user model. Okay, this is the user model, and which would actually help me get the specific ID and actually check that the ID which is available in the token. How is the ID available in the token, by the way? So you can see whenever we created a token, we actually passed an ID to it. Okay, so we'll extract this ID from the token which the API call will have, and then I'll find that specific ID in my database. If that ID exists, that means if that user exists, that means we are fine. If that user doesn't exist, that means again not a valid token and things like that. Okay, so I'll just specify here and I'll make you understand things better. So const auth, and let's create a function and we'll be exporting this. So this is an asynchronous function, and this would have three parameters, that is request, response, and next. The next would be what? Whenever things are successful, we would do the next thing. That means the API call in which auth is actually called, the middleware is actually called. Okay, so here you are going to take the try catch block. Okay, so try and catch. So try catch block is really great to use. If you want to use then catch also, then definitely you can. Else I would say that you can follow this approach also. Okay, both are great. So error, and I would say that what do you have to try? First of all, you would simply say first of all take out the token from where. So I would be just providing in the headers authorization header. I would just provide the token. Okay, so we'll see how authorization header works, but I have taught this before. Okay, so header, inside this you have to look for authorization field. Okay, so authorization field and authorization field, and I would also provide bearer keyword so that we are able to know that this is my token. Okay, so bearer, I'll just replace the bearer with empty. That means token would be something like, I'll just give you an example. Token would be actually like BARER dash as something like this. Okay, so what I'm doing is here I'm simply saying in the authorization field I'll get the token. Now I'm simply saying that get the token and replace the bearer with the space with empty. That means bearer with the space, make it empty. That means I'm extracting this. Why am I, by the way, why am I providing this bearer? We don't need it since we are replacing, but it's actually something a lot of people use for verifying the token. That means it's a genuine login token and things like that. You can name it anything else, you can give any other name, and you have to provide similar kind of token from the front end. Okay, so bearer is something which would actually tell that this is a login token. That's why we provide bearer here, right? So authorization and things like that, and you can now continue. What I would say is I would extract the ID out of it. Okay, so I would simply say const decode it. Okay, so decode it. This would be the variable. Actually, it would have ID of it. Okay, so I would be extracting the ID of it, and decoded would be actually a complete object. Okay, a complete object, and it would have all the fields which my token has. My token has only one field, so decoded would be an object and it would contain an ID field. Okay, ID key value pair. So I would simply say jwt dot verify. So you remember that I was using a secret key, right? So again, for verifying also, I am going to use the same secret key. So the secret key was actually inside env. You can see, you never show this to anyone since this is a tutorial. I have to show this. So jwt secret key is available here, and we are going to just use it here. Okay, so you can see we have imported it. Then what else do you need is, I think now we can continue, and I would first of all check that if things are fine. If things are fine, then I would simply check that whenever decoded would be having some value, so it would have an ID and things like that. So since my token has what fields, you can see my token, whenever I generate a token, can see it has a ID field. Okay, so decoded would be somewhat this kind of object, and it would have some ID field and some ID, right? So decoded is actually of this format. This is an object, right? This is the decoded. So what I would say is extract ID from decoded. I would simply say that const user. I would just find that specific user with the decoded ID, right? So I'll just say that await user dot find one. So whatever ID which is available in my token, I'm just extracting the ID from where? From where? So I'd simply say underscore ID equals decoded underscore ID. That means I'm extracting the ID from this decoded object, and then I'm finding this in my database. If that user exists, then you can continue. If that user doesn't exist, you can simply throw an error, okay, throw a new error, and you can actually say that unable to log in, invalid credentials, things like that. Else you would simply say that actually instead of this I would, okay, let's continue. Okay, so what I would do is, if everything is fine, that means I have got the user is actually verified. Okay, I have the user field, so I would simply say again in the request part add a user field. Okay, in the request part add a user field, okay, which would have my user object. Since I have verified the user, okay, so in the request file, in the request part, I would add a user field. Okay, I would have a user object. So next time, whenever you are calling this middleware, whatever API you are calling this middleware on would now have the user field on the request part. Okay, initially they won't be having, they would be just having the token. From the token, I'm finding the user and I'm modifying the request. Okay, so I hope you're getting this. Now, similarly, I would just say that req.token equals token. So I'm just also providing the token also. So I would just say that if everything is fine, next. That means the API, whatever is there, would be called now. Okay, first the middleware is called, then the task APIs would be called. So now we would be actually using this. First of all, let me just complete this. So I would just say that if there is some error, status, actually I would just provide the error here. Okay, so I'll just say error dot message, right? Whatever is the message, that is, this is the message, right? I'll just provide this later on. All right, so we have created this API now. We have created this middleware. Now we are going to use this API. So let's export this middleware, and now we are going to use in the task routes. Okay, in the task routes. So I would simply specify, first of all, you have to import the auth file which you have created in task routes, right? So you would simply say that from const auth equals middlewares. Inside middlewares we have auth.js, right? In the middlewares we have auth.js, so we have simply imported this. So once you have imported this, you just have to type auth here. That's it. That's what you wanted. Okay, so whenever I hit this API, first auth middleware would be called. It would check for the token, verify the user, then I would return this. Okay, I hope you're getting this. All right, so now let's try to test this. Just a minute, guys. All right. So for starting this again, we were using NodeMon. So NodeMon, and I think it would work now, and you can see it's working. So I was actually testing this API before, so I would do one thing. I would just name this slash test. Okay, so when I want to call this, what I was actually doing, I was simply calling slash task. Now I would simply say slash task slash test, so that this API would hit. Okay, I hope you're getting this. So let's try to hit this, and or just make more fresh things. Um, okay, so these were the two APIs which we were testing yesterday. So today what I would do is I would just copy this and paste it here, and then what we had tasks slash, and suppose we are going to test it, right? And I think this is the get method. In the authorization I'm not providing anything, headers I'm not providing anything. Let's test this. So you can see cannot read properties of undefined replace. Okay, actually we are not providing token yet. That's the error is here. Okay, this simply means that you haven't provided the token. So for that, what can you actually do is, first of all, let's provide the token. So for that, here we can simply say what authorization, authorization. Okay, this is the authorization field which we are extracting from the headers, right? So suppose if I'm saying bearer 123, okay, that is some random token which I have passed here. So if I click send, you can see JWT malformed. Okay, so you can see now I'm able to get the token, but it's invalid. So now what I would do is I would just get a genuine token. I would simply click send. Now I'm simply getting a token from login, right? We were getting this in the last video, so you just copy this, and then whenever we are calling task, we are checking the task, we would simply paste the token here. Okay, so if I simply click on this, And okay, so where BAR, okay, sorry, this was a problem. Okay, so if I click send, you can see task routes are working. So you can see that the token is perfect and the task routes are working. If you want more details, what you can actually do is, what we did here was we simply created a user also, right? So we would simply also send the user as a response. How we can do that? So I think instead of that, you must say that res.json would be having two fields. Okay, first is a message task are working, and the user. Okay, user would be extracted from req.user field, because before this you actually modified the auth. Okay, the auth middleware was called, and in auth middleware you actually modified the req.user field, right? So automatically task routes would be having this field. If the API is called and authorization is working, then the next would be called and it would be having this field automatically because of auth.js. Okay, I hope you're getting this. So now let's try to test this, and if I click on send, can see that it's having the user also. Okay, so I hope you got how authorization works. Suppose again, if I just say that it has some random thing, that means I've just changed the token to make it invalid. I click this, you can see invalid signature. Alright, so have you got this? That's how you can do things. And since I made this is actually for the signature part. Now what I would do is I would try to make some change here. So I would just say that 1 2 3. After 9 I'm typing 1 2 3. That is before dot, this part, the first dot is where? First dot is here. From here till here, this is the payload part of token. Okay, that means this contains the ID and details. Okay, so suppose I'm trying to change this, click send. So you can see unexpected token position. Okay, so you can see whenever you are trying to provide a wrong token, it would have issues. Okay, so if you provide a genuine token, click send, you can see I'm getting the results. Alright, so I hope you got how authorization works, and if the token is genuine, then only you are getting the data, right? So if I provide any other user's token, then I would get any other user's data. Okay, so this is always unique. You can say that I am logged into my account, I would get my data. You would log into your account, you'd get your data, and you can't get guess this token really. Okay, so this is very much secure, and that's why we are using tokens. All right, so I hope you got the token logic. Now let's continue with the other APIs which are required for task. All right, so first of all, we would be creating a new task, then reading, updating, deleting, and these four operations are actually required. Okay, so let's try this. So I'll just say that router dot post. So I'm actually creating a task, right? So let me just mention this. Okay, let me just mention this. So create a task, right? So again, whenever you are creating a task, what do you need to check first? That is the user authenticated or not. Again, you would be calling a middleware, right? So again, you would be calling a middleware. That's it. You call the middleware. Then you're simply saying if everything is fine, the next would be called. Next is simply this part, right? This part is next. So now let's come here. Okay, so I'm simply creating a new task. So I would be simply calling this, and here you can simply say that try. By the way, you can name it something like here also. You can add more details like create task. So this is just an API name. Okay, you can give any API name you want. So it would be like slash task slash create task. Okay, if this is not here, I would simply call slash task with a post request. That's it. Okay, so let's try this. So here I would simply say that const whatever is the task. Actually, in the body part, I would be providing a few things. Okay, so let me just first define a schema. I'm sorry, I have to first define a schema. So the task schema would be very easy. Okay, so let's define the task schema here. Okay, so here I'll just say that sorry, task dot js, right? Since that this you have to define the task schema. So what I would do is I would just simply copy this and paste it here, and I don't need this, and let's start from the beginning. Okay, so I'll just name it as task schema. Okay, task right, task schema, and again task okay, sk, and here also task. So please check the naming also. Somewhere it's small, somewhere it's capital. So be more cautious with the naming part. So you can see I'm just exporting it with the model name of task. That's it. Okay. So I hope you're getting this. Now what we did was, instead of this, we need different fields. That is, the first field is actually the description. Okay. So description, it has type string and it's required. Okay. You have to give a description. Similarly, you can add a title also. Now we have a completed parameter also. If completed, then it would be true, as by default it's false. Okay, so type is boolean. Similarly, we have the third field, that is the owner field. Owner field would contain the ID whose task is available. Okay, whose task is this one. All right, so I would simply say that we have a suppose owner field, and owner field would be having, first of all you have to specify the type would be what. So obviously you would be storing the ID of the owner. Okay, you would be just storing the ID of the owner. Suppose for example, this specific user which I am logged into, this is creating a task. So this user's ID must be stored in the task collections owner field. Okay, so I hope you're getting this. So that's how you'd be connecting the user to the task. Okay, so in the users object you are not doing anything, you are just using the user's ID in the task collection. Okay, so in the users collection you are not doing anything, you're just using that specific ID of that user in the task collection. Okay, so you'll see that later on. I'll just explain that further. Right now just specify mongoose. So for actually providing this specific type simply means whatever type of MongoDB ID is there. Okay, that means this is a specific type of ID which MongoDB provides. Okay, this is a specific type which MongoDB provides. There is some format, you don't need to know that, but if you are storing a MongoDB ID, you can actually specify this so that you don't store a wrong ID. Okay, so it says this is the ID which would actually be of format like this. Okay, which would actually take a format like this. Okay, so if the ID of this format, then it would be stored. If it's some random format, it won't be stored. Okay, so I hope you're getting this. So that's how it's working. And now let's say that if it's required also. Okay, it's also required because whenever you're creating the task, you must know who created the task. Okay, so required is true. And you can also specify one thing, ref reference is user. So reference is a field we have simply specified, and so it simply points to the user collection. So it actually helps us know whenever someone is trying to check the database, they will know that yeah, this collection, this task schema is actually connected to the user in this way. Okay, I hope you're getting this. Okay, this specific owner field of this task field is connected to the user in this way. So that's why we have just specified reference as user, so that nobody gets confused where is this owner coming from. Okay, it's coming from the user database or user collection, I'm sorry. Okay, users collection. All right, so now let's continue, and that's it. So we have to just export it. So I've exported it, and I hope the naming is correct. Okay, so we don't need bcrypt here, by the way, so we just remove this. Right. Okay, so now let's continue, and after this we are going to create a task. Okay, so we have created the schema, now we are going to create this task. So here you have to again import the schema. Okay, so for importing the schema you have to just specify, again I would just say that specify it here. You would simply say const task equals require. Inside this you would be having // in the models folder we have the task schema. Okay, so we have just imported this, right? So you can see it's here, and now we can simply create a task out of it. Okay, so again you know that in the req.user we actually have the user details, so we would be extracting the ID from here. You would be extracting the ID from here, that is req.user._id, and then we would be creating things, we would be using it here. Okay, so suppose for example, let me just give you an example. We are going to create a task. So let's create a try and catch block again. So catch, and whatever is the error, you'd be giving the error, right? So I'll just send whatever is the error would be sent here. Just a minute, guys. All right, so now let's continue. And here you can see that we have to simply say that when you are creating a task, what fields would you be providing? Okay, I'm just talking about the important ones. Important one is description, and completed field is actually not required. By default it would be false, so we would be skipping this for now. So whenever you're creating a task, by default it would be false. That means you are not completed it. Okay, so by default you are specifying only two fields, description and owner. So what I'm simply saying is, in the task schema you can see we have description field required. At least these two fields must be there. If you're providing completed as true, then it would be true, else by default it would be false. Okay, I hope you're getting this. So yeah, we have description, we have the owner. So actually we won't be providing owner field, because we would be extracting the owner ID from what, req.user. Okay, so we actually don't need this. We would only need the description field as required. Okay, but suppose if you are providing the completed field, it would take the value from complete, that is it must be of first of all boolean type, that is it would be either true or false. Okay, so either true or false, so whatever it is, it would be taking. If you don't provide this, by default what it would be, it would be by default false. Okay, I hope you're getting this. So let's say here I would just say, where would you be getting the owner from? So owner would be actually extracted from req.user._id, right? Would be extracted from here, and this would be extracted from body, right? So that's how we would be working here. So let's say we are about to create a task, so we would simply say const task equals new task, and automatically I would be extracting, suppose whatever fields are there would be extracted from the body. Okay, automatically description and whatever details are added would be extracted. So the main fields are description and completed, and also in this description is required. If you don't provide completed, it's fine, else both will work. Okay, so if you are providing both, it's fine. If you're providing only description, it's also fine. Okay, so you're extracting description and completed from the body. And what else? You are also providing the owner, so you would simply say owner is req.user._id. Okay, so if the user is authenticated, automatically this field would exist. Okay, makes sense. So now let's continue. So we have stored the ID also. Now we would simply save this task. So for saving this task, again we would simply call await task.save, and as a response you would simply say that task created successfully, and you would simply return that task. Okay, so that's how you would be doing this. Actually I would simply say, instead of this, res.json. Okay, it's like that. So let's see how it would work, and you're simply sending a message and the task which you have created. Okay, so let's try to create a task, but before that I would like to I would like to actually erase my MongoDB database data, because I have created things before. So let me just show you my MongoDB atlas. Okay, okay, let's sign in, and it would take time sometimes. So Google this account. Guys, if you have any doubts till now, you can ask me in the live chat. I'll just pause for a while and I'll explain you that concept specifically, right? So this was the task manager database, and actually this was the project, and this was the database. In the database part, you would simply go to the browse collections, and you would get all the data here. Okay, so right now I have actually added the task because I was testing this before creating the video. I'll just delete this task, because right now you won't get any task. Okay, so you would see something like this, task would be 0, and this was the user which we created yesterday. Okay, this was created yesterday, right? So today we have to create a task now, so we would simply go here, and since you have to create a task, I would just simply duplicate this, and I don't have anything after this, so slash actually it's something like this, but you don't need to provide a slash. Okay, because we are simply calling post request, so either you can call this way or you can just leave it. Okay, so actually we are going to create a task. So for post, and in the headers part you're going to provide the ID, right? And in the body part you are providing things. Okay, so here you can simply say that I am providing description, description, right? And description would be, this is T1, right? This is T1. And what else can you say? Actually yes, everything is fine. So what else can you say? You can also provide the field that is completed. Okay, completed, and by default it's false. If you don't provide the completed field, it would be false. But let's suppose I am assuming that this task is completed. Okay, and one more thing is required, that is here you have to provide content type application JSON. That's how you would be extracting data, right? So application JSON, this would actually call data from the body, get data from the body. Let's try to send, and you can see that the completed field is now true and the task has been created, task created successfully. And you can see I also have the owner id. How am I getting the owner id? It's being extracted from the this token by the auth middleware and then forwarded to the specific API. Okay, that makes sense, right? So we have successfully created a task. If you want to check the database, you can actually go to the database and let's refresh this field. So you would know that now we have the owner ID is here, okay, 664, and in users you would find the same ID. Okay, so that's how you're getting the ID. Okay, I hope you're getting this. All right, so now similarly you can create another task and things like that. So let's create another task also. I would just say that this is T2, right? This is T2, and this time I'm not providing the completed field. Okay, so automatically completed would be false. Okay, so if I click on send, okay, so we have to just remove this also. Click send and you would find that completed field would be false. Okay, so again you can see that details are actually available here. And I would like to add one more thing, that is you can also add the timestamps. Okay, so for that what you need to do is in the tasks you have to just provide here, you have to just provide one more thing, just give a comma, and here you can just say timestamps equals true. So whenever you are creating a task, timestamps that is created at updated at would be added here. Similarly you can do this to your user also. So similarly I would just say that here also you would be providing timestamps. So it's very helpful because later on you would know when this thing is updated or things like that. Okay, so now again I would try to create a task here again. So let's do one thing. First let me just delete everything from here. Okay, so delete this tasks. Okay, now I'll be creating fresh task. So let's create a task, and here I would simply say that this is T1. Okay, let's send. So you can see now it has the timestamps also. Similarly you would see T2, click send. So you again have the timestamps. Okay, so I hope you're getting this. All right, so we have created two tasks. Now we are going to create a few more APIs. Okay, that is, if I first of all refresh, I would get all my tasks. Okay, you can see I'm getting the task for the specific users. Okay, and with the created ad and updated ad. Okay, so it works fine. And here you right now you don't have created an updated field because we did it yesterday and we added this field today. Okay, timestamps today. Okay, so yeah, here you can see we have these fields. So now let's try to add more things to the APIs. Okay, so again in the task routes we would simply go for another API, and since we have created a task, so now let's try to get a task also. So get user tasks. Okay, so for that, router dot get method, again you can specify any name like get tasks, things like that, but I would just specify slash because I don't want to just change the API name again and again in Postman. Okay, so again you are going to call the middleware. If the user is authenticated, then I would send that user their tasks. Okay, their tasks. Okay, so we are simply finding the user by ID. First of all, we would simply say that we have the ID also. Okay, we are getting the ID from req dot user dot underscore id due to the auth. Okay, so once we get the ID, what we would do, we would simply go to the task collection and we would find whatever task would have the same user ID. I would return all the tasks. Okay, that's how you would get user specific tasks. Okay, so let's try to get that, and for that you simply have to specify again try and catch. Okay, and in the try block you have to just say that const yes equals, and here you just have to find that ID which matches with your logged in user, all the tasks which matches with your logged in users. For that you can say that the owner field of all the tasks which have my logged in users ID would be returned. That's it. Okay, so if there are two tasks created by the same user, they would be returned. Okay, but for other users task won't be returned. Okay, so it must match with your id, logged in id, right? So now I'll get my all tasks. I am logged in, so I'll get all of my tasks. Okay, so I'll just send this as a response. And also you can actually send a message, tasks fetched successfully. Okay, so I hope you got this, and that's how you will get all the tasks, right? So let's try to get all the tasks from here. I would simply say that instead of this is the get method, and we don't need content type, so we would just remove this, and else everything is fine. Also this is also not required. Also this is also not required. You can make this none, or you can make this raw. Okay, it's up to you, but this won't make any difference, because since this is a get method and we are not fetching any, we are not sending any JSON format data, only authorization is required, right? So now if I click on send, you can see that all the tasks are actually available here with the count and the message. All right, so that's how you can get the count. And what it's actually doing, it's going to the task collection, and it's finding all the tasks which matches with this specific id which I am logged in on. Okay, that is id is extracted from the token and is compared to each task. Okay, that's how you are getting things. All right, so I hope you got this. Now we are able to get the task. Now let's do one more thing. We are going to create an update. Actually, one more thing. If I want to get a specific task, how can I get it? I would simply check that whatever is the ID of that task and the user I am logged in, both are genuine, then I would simply give that task. Okay, so let's fetch a task by ID. Okay, so sorry, slash fetch a task by ID, right? So for that you can simply say router dot get, and for example I'm just saying that someone provides ID in the parameter of the API. Okay, so here you are again going to first of all check if the user is logged in or not. Okay, a user can only get their own task. Okay, that means if I provide someone else's ID, still I won't be able to get the task. Okay, so that's what it's for. So right now I'm just providing the ID of my own task and my own user which I am logged in on. Okay, both are me, not anyone else. Okay, so here async, inside this you can simply say req comma res. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is I'm going to fetch all the tasks, actually fetch that specific task from which matches with the owner ID. Okay, so I'll simply say that first of all let's extract the ID from here. Okay, this ID must be extracted, so I would simply say const task ID. Okay, whatever task ID it is, it's actually extracted from the params, that is this. Okay, so I'm extracting the ID. Now what I would say is try and again catch, right? So catch. So here what I would say is first of all find that task which matches with task ID, and also it must have my user ID. That means both must be there, right? So how can I do that? I can simply say that const task equals await task dot find one. Okay, so await task dot find one, and in this method you are simply going to specify two fields, that is the ID must match to the task ID, that the specific task which I'm looking for, that task's ID must match to my task ID, and the owner must be me. Okay, owner must be me. Okay, that's how you will get your own task and not anyone else's task, right? So if you get this, then everything is fine. So else you don't get this, so you would simply say, if you don't get this, you would simply say that task not found. Okay, else you would simply say that if you found this, you would simply return the task. Okay, task fetched successfully. Okay, and now let's try to get this. So if I go here and suppose I want to fetch this task or t2 one. Okay, I'll just find the t2 task. So if I click here, and this is extracting the ID from the parameters, this is the task ID from the params, and also from the authorization we are extracting the user ID. Okay, so both fields are there, and this is again the get method. Let's try to click send. You can see I'm getting that specific task t2. Okay, so that's how you are getting things. Okay, I hope you got this. So now we got the task also. So now let's try to update a task. Okay, so this is the patch request which we are going to create. So patch is again going to take values from two things, that is from the body and also the second thing from the auth. Okay, so actually three things. We would first getting the ID of that specific task which we want to update, then the user ID, then what fields we want to update. Okay, so let's try to again create an API. So I'll just say that router, I'll just do one thing, I'll just copy this because this is similar. So here update a task. Okay, so what fields can I actually update in a task? So I can actually update the description and the completed field. Can't update the owner, right? Completed field and only the description. So completed and description. So I would only say that only these two updates are accepted, else just reject everything. Okay, so we have to specify the updates so that it's way more secure, right? So else anyone can change the owner easily, so that's not possible. So we have to specify these parameters, specific parameters. So I would simply first of all paste the above API. This is the API which I copied, and again I pasted it. Now this method must be patch because we are going to update this. Okay, patch is for updation. Now I'm simply getting the task ID from the params. I'm getting the user ID from the middleware. Okay, so we have the task ID, we also have the user ID. Okay, so now what I want is simply one more thing is actually required. In the body you have to provide these two. Okay, we are going to update, so we are going to provide these two. So I would simply say const updates equals, and it's actually taking the object key value pairs, just that's it. From the body whatever objects are present it would be taking it, else you can directly provide it. But yeah, this is great, this is also a great method for extracting object key value pairs from the body. Okay, so it's actually extracting description and completed. Okay, so once you have these, you would simply say that what are the allowed updates. So allowed updates are actually description and completed, right? So I'm just storing these in an array so that we are able to create a loop which would actually check for these values for whatever updation we are creating. Okay, so description and completed, we only want to update these two values. If there is any else value, we won't be updating that specific value, that is the owner and things like that. Okay, so only these two updations are allowed. So here you have provided restriction. So I would actually say that if we are going to update valid things, so we are actually creating a flag here, is valid operation, and I would simply check that updates. Okay, whatever update fields we are providing, okay, in the description, in the body what we are providing. Okay, we are suppose providing we are providing the description. Okay, description, suppose this is the description and completed as true. And what else you are providing? Some owner. Okay, some owner ID, also new owner ID. That means I also want to change the owner ID. So obviously this is not a valid operation. Okay, this must not be allowed. So we are simply checking the flag here. Okay, so suppose this was the body which we are sending, that means this is available in updates, right? So now I'm from updates, we are just checking every field, and we are simply saying for each field, that means suppose we are in the first field, we are going to find this specific key. We are going to find the specific key inside this array. Okay, this is available. Let's continue. Okay, for the second case, again updates would be a loop will be called again, and again we are now in completed. Okay, so again we would traverse this array. So first of all you can see description doesn't match this, completed matches this, so we would continue. Okay, again the user has provided owner. Now owner would be compared in this array. You can see owner is not available, so this is not an allowed update. Okay, that's how we would be doing that. So we would simply say for the first first key value pair, actually the first key update. Okay, so this is suppose the first key. Okay, this is suppose the first key, that is description. Again the loop will continue. This would be the second key, update would be the second key, and similarly update would be the third key, that is owner. Okay, so we are actually traversing this. Okay, now we would simply say that if it's available in allowed updates, then continue includes. This allowed updates array actually includes description completed, but for owner field, allowed updates doesn't have the owner field, right? It doesn't have the owner field, so the loop would stop. Okay, so at automatically it would become false. Okay, it's not a valid operation, right? So we would simply say that if not a valid operation, that means in the we have provided an owner field, so obviously it's not a valid operation. But if I suppose remove this, then it's a valid operation, right? So that's what we are doing, right? So now let's continue. If it's not a valid operation, we would simply say invalid updates. Okay, so that it's like that. So if it's a valid operation, then we would be calling a try catch block. Okay, so let's write the try block again. Okay, I would be writing this again, but the catch is same, right? So now in the try block, I would simply specify first of all what is the task which I'm going to update. Okay, so what is the task? First of all, we would simply find the task const task equals task dot find one. Okay, so what must be the id? It must be the task id. Okay, and what must be the owner? It must be the owner which we are logged into. Okay, so we found the task. Now what do we have to do? We have to update fields. Okay, so first of all, I would simply say that if task doesn't exist, we would simply say whatever is the response, that is task not found. Okay, but if task is found, what we would actually do, we would simply again call actually I would say that, yeah, if task is not found, we are simply sending this, but if task is found, we are simply going to update this. So again, the updates, that is all the fields which I'm providing in the body, I would just say that for each I'm going to update the values in my task database. Okay, so I would simply say that first key value pair would be called. Okay, first key value pair would be called. Then I would simply say that the task field, that suppose this field would be description. Initially this would be description, next time it would be completed. Okay, it must be updated to whatever you have provided this. So if description field is available here and also available here, then update would be performed. Next time what would happen, the completed field is available here, completed field is available here, then update would be performed. Okay, things are happening like that. So I'm simply saying that whenever there is an update, it would happen. So now updates are performed. Okay, so all the specific updates are performed, and then I would simply save the task. Okay, so I would simply say that res.json, and you can actually make this way more easier. I made it a bit complicated, I know, but it's a little bit more secure. Okay, so I would just say task updated successfully if everything is fine. Else you are sending an error here. Okay, you are sending errors here, right? So things are happening this way, and now I think I can check the API updates, right? Okay, so suppose I want to update this specific ID's completed field to true. Okay, so what I'm doing is I will just first of all call the patch request. Again, I'm going to take details from the body also. Now from the authorization, I'm extracting the user ID. From here, I'm extracting the task ID. From body, I am just taking the updates. So this is T2 and updated. Okay, so now let's try to check this if it's working. Click send, and I hope it works. Actually, database is not connected. I would just refresh and then it would be complete connected. So it's connected now. Now let's try to click send. So you can see task updated successfully. So now let's try to again get the tasks. Okay, so for getting the tasks, I actually had this get the tasks. Okay, so you can see T2 and update it. Okay, similarly I would be providing the second field, that is what, that is completed. Okay, completed field. Okay, so completed field, and let's say the completed is 2. Okay, so you have either you can provide this or you don't need to provide this, because things are now optional here, because we are just updating things. Okay, we don't need to have everything. Okay, so these are optional things. Either you can complete it, either you can change the description, or both. If I click on send, you can see task updated successfully. So if I try to get this, can see that now the completed is true for this case. Okay, now suppose if I try to provide something else, let's say we have owner. Okay, and owner equals suppose 123. Okay, let's try to click send. So you can see invalid updates because owner is not allowed. Owner update is not allowed. That's fine. Okay, so you don't need to provide this. All right, so I hope you got the update part. Now one more thing is remaining, that is the delete part. So how you are going to provide the delete part is very easy. Can again go here, just copy this, delete a task by ID. Okay, so whatever ID is here, I'm getting this ID. Okay, I'm getting the task ID, and then I'm finding that specific task. Instead of this, you are going to simply say find one and delete. Okay, so it would automatically delete the task. That's it, find one and delete. So I'm specifically finding that task with that task ID and the owner ID, and I'm deleting the task. That's it. Okay, so if task not found, then simply send this, else you would simply say task deleted successfully. Okay, that's it. So now let's try to say again, it's a delete request. So now I'm simply saying that find the task ID, okay, and get the user ID. I'm simply sending that task ID here and user ID here, and I'm simply finding this and deleting this. Okay, so that's it. That's how you are going to delete this. And let's try to test this API now. So here I would just say that we have a delete method. We don't need this body part. I can simply make it none. And in the headers, I don't need the content type because I'm extracting the task ID from here and user ID from here. Okay, so now click on send. So you can see task deleted successfully. So what actually happened, I'm just deleted the task. Okay, so if you deleted the task, what happens is, now let's try to get the task. So you can see now I'm only getting one task and the next one was actually deleted. Oh, so, okay, suppose if I delete this task also, copy this and paste it here. So click send. So you can see this specific task is deleted. And now if I click on send, you can see we have no task. Okay, so I hope you got all the operations which we have created today, and this would be really helpful in your whole web development journey because we have created all types of API and authorization and things like that. All right, so this project is actually completed. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. And I actually wanted to add React.js to it, but still we don't have time for it, so you can add this on your own. You can watch my previous videos to actually know how to add React.js to the Node.js application. You would know the specific method which we would use. Okay, so you can refer those videos. And if you don't know React.js, I would say that first learn React.js, then you can join it with Node.js easily. Okay, so I think it makes sense. If you have any doubts, you can ask me in the live chat. So let me first upload the source code to GitHub, then we would end this session. So I'll just push the complete source code. So git add dot git commit dash m, and the date is what, 4/8/23. Okay, so git push. That's it. So now guys, I think we have pushed the source code, so it's actually available on GitHub. Okay, so let's see. So let's visit github.com/virajj014. If you want to find my source code, you first have to visit my ID, and then if you want to follow me, you can follow me here. In the repositories, you would find this specific repository. You can also star it so that it's marked. Okay, so in this you would find node 15 GFG. If you don't find this, you can search the name here, you would find the repository. Okay, so you can simply go here and you would find all my previous projects and also the latest project which we have updated today. So you can see all the source code for today is actually available here. All right, so I hope you got this, and that's it for today. So before ending this session, you can actually check out the description, and in the description we have actually provided 2 links for Monstack courses which is available in every video. So if you want to check out the Monstack courses, paid ones, then definitely you can check out the links in the description. And if you have any doubts, you can ask me in any of my videos, but to be specific, if you want to find me somewhere, so you can actually message me on Instagram. So just mention my user handle there. So guys, this is my user handle of Instagram. If you message me here, if you have any doubts, you can ask me there. All right, so that's it for today. I will see you in the next one. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe because these videos actually take a lot of efforts and hours are spent for actually making content. So please show some support, and you can also tag me on Instagram or anywhere you like, and also Geeks for Geeks. So you can find their pages also in the description. So you can tag any of us, and it would be great. We'll mention you back also. Okay, so that's it for today. I will see you in the next one. Till then, say a good day. Bye bye.